in a parameter list for a generic parameterized class like this. So the bottom line is just put void for your parameters, your parameter types. And I'm going to declare a variable here called task and set it equal to a new async task. And I'll have the same parameter types here. Java 7 allows you to miss out the second recitation of your parametric types, but I'm using Java 6, so they have to be repeated here. And then I have two round kind of constructor type brackets, and if I were to type this, that would look as though I'm just declaring an object of a particular class and setting a variable equal to it in a sort of normal fashion. But that's not what I'm doing here, because async task is an abstract class. But what I can do is I can implement the abstract method using a anonymous class type syntax. So I get rid of the semicolon there and open a curly parenthesis, hit return, and Eclipse has put a closing parenthesis in there for me, and I'll add the semicolon after that. And then I'll click this warning here and go to add unimplemented methods, and that will implement my method for me right here, so between these brackets. And now this is a legal declaration, and I must return null here, because if you've got a return type of void like this, you have to return null. You're not allowed to not have a return statement, so that must be there. And now I'm going to take my store points code and put it in there. And now points, you can't refer to a local variable from within a method of an anonymous class unless it's declared final. So that's what I'll do. My points here, which are actually declared here, I'll make this variable final, and that just means that I can't reassign points to point them at something else. I can't reassign this local variable, but I don't want to anyway, so that's fine. And the points themselves in the list that this is receiving can of course change, so this won't affect anything. And now what I'm also going to do is I'm going to right click here and go to source, override implement methods, and I'm going to override this on post execute method, and this runs after your task has finished executing. So I'm going to just use that as a logical place to dismiss the dialog. So on post execute will run when this code has finished running. And I also have to make the alert dialog final if I want to refer to that within this method of my anonymous kind of inner class. So I think that looks pretty good. Now, because db.storePoints, it might take a while to return, and for that reason it's great to put it in a asynchronous task, even if you don't want to show a dialog to indicate what's happening. But it's also possible that it might return very quickly, and usually it probably will. So just so that we can definitely see something happening, I'm going to put thread.sleep in here for 1 second. And I'm also I'm running this code at the moment on my I'll just handle the exception here. I'm running it on my mobile phone just because my laptop keeps overheating with the strain of running an emulator, so I thought I'd run it on my phone instead. And I've got debug turned on my phone, and my project is set to debuggable in the application setting of the manifest.xml as I described in a previous tutorial. So I can debug it on my phone quite happily if I want to. Now I'm using this screencast, Android screencast thing here that I showed you before, and I'm now going to run my actually let's just put a log.d in here, and I'll say here I'll use my usual debug tag, because just to prove that this is working, and say let's say points saved. And I want to show you that you can happily get debug output from your phone as long as debugging is switched on the phone and in your project. And now finally let's run this. So actually it's not actually finished yet, because I've defined the task that we want to run, but now I actually have to run it by saying task.execute. like this, and this isn't going to take any parameters because I specified void for all these parameter types here. So this method now, the whole method, where are we? This whole thing is going to return basically immediately, and this code will meanwhile carry on executing after this method has returned. It'll execute in its own thread, which is what I want. So finally now, let's just run this, and let me go to my phone in the real world here and unlock it, and it's installing, and you can see on the this is the screencast that's running my application from last time I ran it, but in just a second we should see it. And still installing. Let's go to DDMS. Okay, so and I'm going to filter the debug. Yeah, the debug output's filtered on my debug my debug tag JWP. I'm just going to clear the logcat log there and look at my phone. Whoops, so unlock the screen again. So here's my phone, and I'm just going to click OK. So yes, I want to set my pass points, and I'll click 4 of them, and we can see the debug output coming out here.